Namaste. Aloha. My name is Janapati Das. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita as it is class. We are reading through our chapter 4 in the Bhagavad Gita, translated and purported on by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is the 1972 edition that we will be reading from. I'd like to offer my respects to you. Please take this opportunity, if you haven't already, to subscribe to my YouTube channel or encourage people to subscribe to this channel so that we increase the algorithm. More people can hear about the Bhagavad Gita and the message of the Bhagavad Gita, the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. I'd like to take this opportunity to glorify and praise my spiritual master, Jagat Guru Siddhaswarapananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada. I put my head at his lotus feet and pray for his mercy and guidance in instructing the knowledge of this Bhagavad Gita. I also offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual grandfather, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and pray for his mercy. My dear grandfather has always said that your grandfather is always a little bit more not as strict to you. So I pray for the guidance and mercy of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and thank him for coming to the Western world and bringing the message of the Bhagavad Gita to us and bringing us our wonderful Srila Prabhupada as well. So I will take this moment now to chant Krishna's names with you. Please join along, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to chant Krishna's names. Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Itinamane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Siddha Swarupananda Namo Siddha Swarupananda Parama Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Haribol. So we are going to try to finish up our chapter 4. We had left off. We had read, of course, we had covered previously, just tried to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge to you because he's seen the truth. That, of course, is chapter 4, verse 34, very important and crucial verse, and basically indicating that as Krishna is doing to Arjuna, and Arjuna is doing with Krishna, he is surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master, his spiritual master, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord. But the devotee of Krishna, the pure devotee of Krishna, the bona fide representative of Krishna, is non-different than Krishna in the sense that he is Krishna's external manifestation of his mercy, and the spiritual master, an enlightened spiritual master, will be handing down the truth as he heard from his spiritual master, they've heard in a disciplic line all the way from Sri Krishna, non-different than what Krishna is instructing to Arjuna here. Text 36. Api chedashi papebiya shabebaya papash kritam maha savam gana plave naiva Rijanyam satarishashi api even chet if asi you are pape baya of sinners, save baya of all, papa krita maha the greatest sinner, savam of all such sinful actions, gana plavena by the boat of transcendental knowledge, eva certainly, Lijinam, the ocean of miseries, Santalishashi, you will cross completely. Translation: even if you are considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, and you will be able to cross over the ocean of mercies. You will be able to cross over the oceans of miseries. So the spiritual master is, there's a very famous picture of Krishna pulling the devotee out of the ocean. It's not different than this. The spiritual master comes with a boat, and you're drowning in the ocean of material suffering, and he says, get on the boat. This is the boat of transcendental knowledge. Don't be swimming around in the ocean. Doesn't matter if you're the greatest swimmer. The motion of great misery and material life. Purport: proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence, which goes on in the ocean of nescience. The ocean of nescience, right? Nescience is not, and science means truth, right? So it's not the truth. It's, in other words, it's not the light, it is the darkness of material life. It is not the reality of things. So we swim around in this ocean of nescience. We've gotten ourselves into this ocean of nescience. The spiritual master comes, a representative of Krishna. Krishna is non-different than Krishna in the sense that he is Krishna's external mercy and manifestation of mercy, to liberate the living entity from this suffering condition. And a lot of people are just like, well, no, I'm having fun swimming, getting eaten up by sharks in here, or drowning in this world of suffering. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nescience, and sometimes as a blazing forest. In the ocean, however expert a swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. Yes, it's very difficult. Nobody needs to, nobody No, I don't think there's really very many people who would say that life is easy. You know, life is definitely very difficult in different degrees for the different people. But most people are like, yes, life is very difficult, very, very extreme in suffering and unhappiness. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. And really what we have to do is just to say, I'm going to get on that boat of transcendental knowledge. I'm not going to swim. That's really all we have to do. I mean, that's the main thing we have to do. We have to get on that boat. We have to stay on the boat in our actions. We have to not jump off the boat and say, well, no, this boat is too hard and it's taking too long. And, I think I had better time when I was in the ocean of nescience and illusion. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time, the most sublime. It's so wonderful. It's, people waste their time in this material world trying to, swim around in the ocean, or even they may be trying to solve what they see as problematic things. We have these, what they call the No Kings protests going on. People going out, making signs, in costumes. It's just more swimming around in the ocean, trying to solve the problems of things that don't make them happy materially. And really the thing is to get on board with the transcendental knowledge. Not waste your time walking around streets, saying no kings, no kings, no kings. It's like, don't really solve any problems. Even if you manage to force President Trump out of the office, and then what? Does that really solve problems? No, not really. The problem of material existence, you're still going to die. Where are you going to go afterwards? Text 37. Yate hamshi shamidyo ganir mashat kurute juna ganagni sarva karmani bashmashat kurute tata yata, just as edhamsi firewood samaditaha blazing agni fire bashmashat turns to ashes kurute, so does Arjuna, O Arjuna, Gana Agni, the fire of knowledge, Sarva Kamani, all reactions to material activities, Bashmashat, to ashes, Kurute, it does, so does, Tata, similarly. Text 37 translation, as the blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. So we have this spiritual master who comes to us. There's one analogy of a boat, a transcendental boat. It says, get on the boat, get out of the ocean, stop drowning in the material world. I will take you back to Krishna. Or, you have all these sufferings going on because of the reactions to your karmic reactions. And the spiritual master says, do this. This is the same kind of thing. Here is the water to put out this blazing fire, of which, lust is considered to be burning, right? So our desire to own and control, our desire, the suffering that goes along with the engaging in this false identity of the self, can be purified, can be put out. The burning desires can be put out by the water, the purifying water of the words of the spiritual master. Purport: perfect knowledge of self and super self and of their relationship is compared herein to fire. The fire not only burns up. I was thinking about water as an analogy, and actually what we're talking about is that the firewood, the fire is purifying also, right? So there's different analogies. I've heard the water puts out the fire, but it also, because Krishna also was able to swallow up the fire, right, of the material of the forest fires in the story in Krishna book. But here actually is referring to wood, right? And it burns wood to ashes. It also burns the karmic reactions to ashes. It purifies it. Fire is very purifying, which is why we offer things in the fire sacrifice, because it's considered to be symbolic of Krishna. And Krishna's knowledge and knowledge of Krishna. Perfect knowledge of self and super self and of their relationship is compared herein to fire. The fire not only burns up all reactions to impious activities, but also reactions to pious activities, turning them to ashes. So we have good and bad karma, right? And the acting in the service of Krishna, the chanting of Krishna's names, Krishna is able to burn up these reactions and also prevent further reactions, pious and impious, to be created in our life. There are many stages of reaction: reaction in the making, reaction fructifying, reaction already achieved, and reaction a priori. But knowledge of the constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. So it's also likened that the karmic reactions are considered to be seeds that are being either created, that are waiting to be fructified, that some that are beginning to fructify, some that have already been fructified. So these reactions, we experience them as they come along. They are from our previous activities that we've done in past lives, or even in this life, for that matter. So as we act, so we are creating more seeds, just like the pod grows, the tree grows many, many pods that have many, many seeds. So the activities in the material world, in our false identification of thinking that we're the body and the owner and controller, create further reactions that keep us in the material world. But knowledge of the constitutional positions of the living entity burns everything to ashes. When one is in complete knowledge, all reactions, both a priori and a posteriori, are consumed. It's Bhaktivedanta. He was an Indian body, but he had like better English than I do. You know, I am like, what is that? Okay, I think it's before and coming up. You know, in the Vedas it is stated, Ube uhaye vaisha ete tarati amrita sava ashlahuni. One overcomes both the pious and impious interactions of work. Text 38. Nahi ganena satrasham pavritam iha vidyate tajvayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati na never. He certainly, ganena with knowledge, shadrishtam in comparison, pavritam sanctified, iha in this world, vidyate exists, tat that, svayam itself, yoga devotion, samsiddha matured, kalena in the course of time, atmani in himself, vindanti enjoys. Translation: in this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has achieved this enjoys the self within himself in due course of time. And I'm going to read that again because that's such another wonderful verse. In this world there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism, and one who has achieved this enjoys the self within himself in due course of time. So beautiful, so fortunate are we to be able to hear from the devotee of Krishna this wonderful and pure and transcendental knowledge, the absolute truth about reality, about our existence, and about our relationship and loving relationship with Krishna. We are so grateful to Srila Prabhupada and to Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and to the line of spiritual masters who have taught us, brought this from Krishna. In the material world, there are so many so-called forms of knowledge that are partial or lacking, incomplete, incorrect, and we are full of a world of information in this day and age. So But receiving the information, receiving knowledge is a tricky and dangerous path, because a lot of times these things are incomplete. They're not even mature fruit. This is said, the mature fruit of all mysticism. And to understand who you are and be happy, to have joy within, to know that you are spiritual in essence. You're a spirit soul, true spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and you are in a loving relationship with the Supreme Soul, our Father, our dear friend. What could be a greater knowledge than that? You know, the things that people concern themselves with in this life as so-called knowledge, what they waste their time on, is temporary and fleeting and incorrect, and either incorrect or incomplete. Or even if it is true in a certain degree, doesn't really help them that much. Purport: when we speak of transcendental knowledge, we do so in terms of spiritual understanding. As such, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Ignorance is the cause of our bondage, and knowledge is the cause of our liberation. Beautiful statement. So to you, one could be supposedly the most intelligent person materially, material scientist, and yet they cannot even wrap their head around the fact that they are not their body nor mind, and that they are a spiritual entity. And so therefore they are in the bondage because they're in ignorance. They really have a poor fund of knowledge. So true knowledge is the cause of our liberation. Understanding, Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, is incredibly liberating knowledge. This knowledge is the mature fruit of devotional service, and when one is situated in transcendental knowledge, he need not search for peace elsewhere, for he enjoys peace with himself. Once again, millions of people going out on the street trying to find peace, trying to create peace, because they don't like things that whoever's in power right now is doing this. They will never find peace. These people have come and gone on the streets before and complained about different political leaders, and they have not been able to secure peace because they are walking around in complete ignorance, thinking they have knowledge about the way things should be or the way things are, but they don't really understand that they are neither the body nor the mind that possesses them. But they are spiritual in essence. And if they understand Krishna and their relationship with Krishna, we can have peace. And how can there not, if you don't have peace, how can there be any happiness without peace, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita? There won't be. There is no happiness. There's only conflict right now. There's extreme conflict and anger and frustration. This can be mitigated by understanding who you are and what your purpose is. He need not search for peace elsewhere, for he enjoys peace within himself. Yes, it's true. When you know Krishna, you have that relationship with Krishna. You're not aggravated. You're not frustrated by the desires to own and control things. You understand that everything animate and inanimate is owned and controlled by Krishna, and that what you're allotted as a quota is given to you as your opportunity to give back to Krishna in love. And it's about love. When you love Krishna, then you love others, and you don't, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat or liberal or conservative or black or white, it doesn't really matter, because you see people for who they are. In other words, this knowledge and peace are culminated in Krishna consciousness. This is the last word in Bhagavad Gita. This is actually about the Bhagavad Gita. This is the song of God. Love for Krishna, love for others. Text 39. Shradvat val labate. That's interesting. Gananam tatpara samyatrein diutriya ganam labdva param shantim achire nadhi gachati. Shraddhavan, a faithful man. So Shraddha, it's a wonderful verse. Shraddha means faith. One's faith. So faith in Krishna. And people have faith, you know, it's not even, I had this discussion with someone once about, let me just read the rest of these translations. Shraddhavan, a faithful man, labate, achieves, gananam, knowledge, tatpara, very much attached to it, samyata, controlled, indriyani, senses, gananam, knowledge, labdava, having achieved, param, transcendental, shantim, peace, achirena, very soon, chi gachati, attains. So, faithful person, people have faith in different things. And I was having this discussion with an atheist about this, who was saying that faith is a religious experience. And I said, well, it's not just religious, it's anything. People have faith in different things. You know, the scientists have faith in the knowledge that they learn from other scientists. They have faith that when they get up in the morning, they're not going to fly away because the laws of gravity, right? So similarly, a person who has faith in God knows that God is there and will protect him. A translation: a faithful man who is absorbed in transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses quickly attains a supreme spiritual peace. Wonderful verse, seems just reflective of everything we've said. Such knowledge in Krishna consciousness, and I actually, Godbrother told me that Shraddha is also the Sanskrit in there, or maybe a root word, has to do with drawing closer, like a moth draws closer to the light, drawing closer. When one has faith in Krishna, they are drawing closer to Krishna. They experience God's grace and light and knowledge, and they have faith to go even more deeper in their relationship with Krishna. And this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna: to be faithful, to trust in God, to surrender to Krishna. And you will be absorbed in this transcendental knowledge, which will enable you to subdue your senses and focus them in the service of Krishna in love. And this is a peaceful experience. When one experiences this, one truly feels an inner spiritual peace and happiness and steadiness, which is lacking in this material world. As we can see, nobody has any peace. Nobody has any. They're just frustrated and shaken up and completely controlled by anger and their mind. And so everything is here. Purport: such knowledge in Krishna consciousness can be achieved by the faithful person who believes firmly in Krishna. One is called the faithful man who thinks that simply by acting in Krishna consciousness he can attain the highest perfection. It's a beautiful statement. All you need is Krishna. All you need is love. As George Harrison was saying, all you need is love. All you need is Krishna, right? All you need is love. You can attain the highest perfection in the purpose of your life, in your human form of life, is to come back to Krishna. End story. This faith is attained by the discharge of devotional service and by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This was brought in the age of Kali by the incarnation of the Supreme Lord as Lord Chaitanya, who brought the Sankirtan Yajna for people to come to this point, which cleanses the heart, one's heart, of all the material dirt. Over and above this, one should control the senses. A person who is faithful to Krishna and who controls the senses can easily attain perfection and knowledge of Krishna consciousness without delay. Text 40. Aganash Shradad. Ooh, that's a big word. Radadhanascha Samshayatma Binashyanti Nayam loko shti na paro, na shukam samshayat manaha. Agana, fools who have no knowledge in standard scriptures. Cha, and ashradhyanaha, without faith in revealed scriptures. Cha, also. Samshaya, doubts. Atma, persons. Vinashyati, falls back. Na, never. Ayam, this. Lokaha, world. Asti, there is. Na, neither. Para, next life. Na, not. Sukam, happiness. Samshaya, doubtful. Atmanaha, of the person. Translation, text 40. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. For the doubting soul there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So it's stressed in the process that it's not that doubt is a bad thing or inquiry, basically, to question things, but ultimately to be doubting, just doubting, I'm just going to make up my own mind, as Arjuna said, what I think. So we eventually have to come to the point that Krishna knows the best, and we can apply this by inquiry, as he's been doing, by soul searching, by taking it and applying it in our life and seeing the results. Purport: out of many standard and authoritative revealed scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita is the best. Persons who are almost like animals have no faith in or knowledge of the standard revealed scriptures, and some, even though they have knowledge of or can cite passages from the revealed scriptures, have actually no faith in these words. And even though others may have faith in scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, they do not believe in or worship the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. Such persons cannot have any standing in Krishna consciousness. They fall down. Out of all the above mentioned persons, those who have no faith and are always doubtful make no progress at all. Men without faith in God and his revealed word find no good in this world nor in the next. For them there is no happiness whatsoever. One should therefore follow the principles of revealed scriptures with faith, and thereby be raised to the platform of knowledge. Only this knowledge will help one become promoted to the transcendental platform of spiritual understanding. In other words, doubtful persons have no status whatsoever in spiritual emancipation. One should therefore follow in the footsteps of great acharyas who are in the disciplical succession and thereby attain success. Nice. Text 41. Yoga shanyashta karmanam gana sanchina samshayam atma vantam na karmani nibandhanti nanti dananjaya. Yoga, devotional service in karma yoga. Sanyasta, renounced. Karmanam, of the performers. Gana, knowledge. Sanchina, cut by the advancement of knowledge. Samshayam, doubts. Atma, vantam, situated in the self. Na, never. Karmani, work. Nibadyanti, to bind up. Dana Jaya, O conqueror of the riches. Translation: therefore, one who has renounced the fruits of his actions, whose doubts are destroyed by transcendental knowledge, and who are situated firmly in the self, is not bound by works, O conqueror of riches. So this, once again, is stating that there is no new karma by the activity in karma yoga that you do. There's no new karmic reaction accumulated, pious or impious. Purport: one who follows the instructions of the Gita as it is imparted by the Lord, the personality of Godhead, becomes free from all doubts by the grace of transcendental knowledge. He, as a part and parcel of the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, is already established in self-knowledge. As such, he is undoubtedly above bondage to action. Nice. Pix 42. Tasmas agana sambutam hritam ganana shinatmanaha chitvainam samsayam yogam tishtabarat. Tasmat, therefore, agana sambutam, outcome of ignorance, hritam, situated in the heart, gana, knowledge, asina, by the weapon of, atmana, of the self, chitva, cutting off, anam, this, samsayam, doubt, yogam, in yoga, atishta, be situated, utishta, stand up to fight, balat, O descendant of Bharat. Translation, therefore the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. I love these analogies of fighting and using swords and stuff like that, because this is what was going on in the battlefield. He's telling them, use the weapons, but use the weapons of knowledge, of true knowledge, to slash the doubts in your heart. Transcendental knowledge. It's a great verse to end this and to be called transcendental knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharat, stand and fight. I love that. So yoga, of course, bhakti yoga. Yoga means to connect with the Supreme, our relationship with the Supreme. And we do this by the knowledge of yoga, which is the knowledge of God. Purport, the yoga system instructed in this chapter is called Sanatan Yoga, or eternal activities performed by the living entity. This yoga has two divisions of sacrificial actions. One is called sacrifice of one's material possessions, and the other is called knowledge of self, which is pure spiritual activity. If sacrifice of one's material possessions is not dovetailed for spiritual realization, then such sacrifice becomes material. So that's a very important point. He was stressing to Arjuna, who was trying to make this sacrifice of giving up all the kingdom and whatnot, and Krishna was saying this activity of giving up, this renunciation which you have in your mind as renunciation, is actually just a material activity for your own gratification. So whether you have whether you are keeping the kingdom or whether you're not keeping the kingdom, if it were under my instructions, you would follow what is my instructions and follow that path and do those things in my activity. So that's the true renunciation, is giving up ownership, the concept of ownership, as stated in the Sri Ishopanishad. Everything animate and inanimate is owned and controlled by God. We understand that knowledge of understanding that and applying what is given to us as our quota in the service of Krishna becomes spiritualized. That is true renunciation. But one who performs such sacrifice with a spiritual objective or in devotional service makes a perfect sacrifice. When we come to spiritual activities, we find that these are all also divided into two, namely understanding of one's own self, or one's constitutional position, and the truth regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who follows the path of the Gita as it is can very easily understand these two important divisions of spiritual knowledge. For him, there is no difficulty in obtaining perfect knowledge of the self as part and parcel of the Lord, and such understanding is beneficial for such a person who easily understands the transcendental activities of the Lord. In the beginning of this chapter, the transcendental activities of the Lord were discussed by the Supreme Lord himself. One who does not understand the instructions of the Gita is faithless and is to be considered to be misusing the fragmental independence awarded to him by the Lord. So this goes back to the idea of what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was saying about what the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita is. It's inherent in its writings and in its teaching, but people try to interpret, just like monists or impersonalists will take scripture, write new scriptures, new commentary on scriptures when the scripture has already got the information in it. They'll come up with their own mental gymnastics of what this means according to their intelligence, so-called intelligence, limited intelligence. Okay, so one who does not understand the instructions of the Gita is faithless and is to be considered to be misusing the fragmental independence awarded to him by the Lord. In spite of such instructions, one who does not understand the real nature of the Lord as the eternal, blissful, and all-knowing personality of Godhead, Satchidananda Vigraha, right, is certainly fool number one. Ignorance can be removed by gradual acceptance of the principles of Krishna consciousness. So the spiritual master comes to us with a torchlight of knowledge, or in this boat of knowledge, throws us the lifeline, says, get on this boat of knowledge, stay on this boat of knowledge, and you can be saved from the ignorance of the material energy that is causing this great ignorance in your existence. And, we take it or we don't take it. If we don't take it, we're fool number one. Krishna consciousness is awakened by different types of sacrifice to the demigods, sacrifice to Brahman, sacrifice in celibacy and household life, in controlling the senses, in practicing mystic yoga and penance, in foregoing material possessions and studying the Vedas, and in partaking of the social institution called Varnashram Dharma. So we've discussed Krishna is explaining the different rules and regulations that he will eventually, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, say, abandon all these varieties and just surrender to me. Of all of these are known as sacrifice, and all of them are based on regulated action. But within all these activities, the important factor is self-realization. One who seeks that objective is the real student of Bhagavad Gita. But one who doubts the authority of Krishna falls back. So many people translate, and they're actually doubting the knowledge of Krishna, true to the fact that they actually will create psychological meanings of what Krishna is and nullify his existence nullify his importance in the reality of things, and in the reading of Bhagavad Gita. So there are all kinds of commentaries which are way off the mark and lead into ignorance, really, because they're written by ignorant people. Krishna consciousness is awakened by different types of sacrifice. Okay, so I read that. All of these are known as sacrifice, and all of them are based on regulated actions. But within all these activities, the important factor is self-realization. One who seeks that objective is the real student of Bhagavad Gita, but one who doubts the authority of Krishna falls back. One is therefore advised to study Bhagavad Gita or any other scripture under a bona fide spiritual master with service and surrender. So we have Bhaktivedanta's commentary, but we also have so many lectures by Srila Prabhupada, by my spiritual master. He's spent his life giving lectures on the Bhagavad Gita. And so many of his lectures are the same truth. One can hear from a living spiritual master about the Bhagavad Gita. A bona fide spiritual master is in the disciplic succession from time eternal, and he does not deviate at all from the instructions of the Supreme Lord as they were imparted millions of years ago to the Sun God, from whom the instructions of Bhagavad Gita have come down to the earthly kingdom. One should therefore follow the path of Bhagavad Gita as it is expressed in the Gita itself. That's why we say it is the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And beware of self-interested people. So many translators are these self-interested, so-called scholars and professors. Beware of self-interested people after personal aggrandizement, who deviate others from the actual path. The Lord is definitely the Supreme Person, and his activities are transcendental. One who understands this is a liberated person from the beginning of his study of the Gita. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of transcendental knowledge. Awesome. I don't know. if there's a word greater than awesome, is you know, just awesome. That's all I can say. Doesn't even touch on that. So we're gonna continue with a read through next time on chapter 5, which is entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So Krishna will go deeper into the topic of Karma Yoga, and that will be all for tonight or today. Thank you very much. Haribol.